You worked for 40 years and gave your best years to a career. Yet the numbers in your bank account do not reflect the life you dreamed of. Right now, in early 2026, the typical American reaching the age of 62 is staring at a retirement balance of exactly $200,000. For some, that might sound like a decent start, but in today's economy, it is a mathematical trap. If you follow the traditional advice and withdraw 4% each year, that $200,000 only gives you $8,000 annually. That is less than $700 a month. Even with Social Security providing an average of $2,000, you are looking at a life of constant restriction and hidden anxiety. Most financial gurus will tell you that you need a better budget or a more complex spreadsheet. They will tell you to skip your daily coffee or find a high-yield savings account that pays a tiny bit more. But here is the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to tell you. You do not have a math problem. You have an identity problem. The reason you are stuck near that $200,000 mark, while others effortlessly climb to $2 million, is not because they are luckier than you. It is because they have a fundamentally different version of themselves living inside their minds. In this discussion, we are going to look past the surface-level numbers and decode the psychological architecture of wealth. We will explore why your brain is actively sabotaging your savings and how a single shift in your identity can fix your finances forever. Let us start with the most dangerous phrase in the English language: I can't afford it. When you say you cannot afford something, you are telling your brain that you are a victim of your circumstances. You are reinforcing a version of yourself that is small, powerless, and controlled by the price tags of the world. Wealthy people do not use that language. They do not say they cannot afford it. They say, I do not spend my money on things like that. The difference might seem small, but the neurological impact is massive. One is a statement of scarcity, while the other is a statement of power and identity. Think about the last time you tried to fix your finances. Maybe you downloaded a new app or promised yourself you would be better this month. It probably worked for about 12 days before life happened. A car repair came up, a friend invited you to dinner, or you just had a long Tuesday and felt you deserved a treat. Before you knew it, you were back to your old patterns, feeling like your bank account personally betrayed you. This happens because your identity acts like a thermostat for your behavior. If your internal thermostat is set to someone who is always just getting by, your brain will find a way to spend any extra money you make. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance. When you try to act like a wealthy saver, but deep down you believe you are financially irresponsible, your brain creates a state of discomfort. To resolve that discomfort, your mind works overtime to get you back to behaving like the person you believe you are. This is why willpower is the worst tool for building wealth. Willpower is a muscle that gets tired. Identity, however, never sleeps. Identity is who you are when nobody is watching. If you see yourself as a saver, you do not have to fight the urge to spend, because spending money on junk feels wrong to you. It does not align with who you are. But how do you change an identity that has been reinforced for decades? You cannot just wake up tomorrow and decide you are a millionaire. Your brain will reject that story faster than your body rejects a bad meal. You change your identity by providing your brain with undeniable evidence. This is why the first $10,000 you save is the most important money you will ever manage. It is not about the interest you earn on that $10,000. It is about the psychological death of your old self. Every dollar you set aside is a vote for the person you are becoming. When you see that balance cross $5,000 and then $10,000, your brain starts to rethink its internal programming. It thinks, maybe I am actually the type of person who saves money. Once that seed is planted, the growth becomes exponential. In 2026, the gap between the middle class and the truly secure is widening. The middle class is obsessed with net worth, which usually means the value of their home and their cars. They feel wealthy on paper because their house has gone up in value. But, as the saying goes, you cannot eat the drywall in your kitchen. True security comes from investable assets. These are liquid funds in stocks, bonds, or retirement accounts that actually produce income while you sleep. $1 million home with zero savings is just a very expensive place to be broke. A $500,000 portfolio with a modest home is a fortress of freedom. The people who reach these milestones understand the power of the tipping point. The first tipping point happens when your investments earn more in a year than you contribute. This is the moment the engine starts running on its own fuel. If you invest $500 a month, which is $6,000 a year, and your portfolio grows by $7,000, you have officially been outperformed by your money. The second tipping point is even more life-changing. It is when your investments earn as much as your actual job pays you. Imagine having a second version of yourself out there working silently, 24 hours a day, without meetings or stress. This is the moment when work becomes a choice rather than a survival mechanism. But most people never reach the second tipping point because they are trapped in a cortisol loop. When you live paycheck to paycheck, your brain is flooded with stress hormones. This puts your nervous system into a chronic state of fight or flight. In this state, your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for long-term planning, literally shuts down. You cannot think about 20 years from now when you are worried about next Friday. This is why being poor is so expensive. You make reactive decisions instead of proactive ones. You pay the late fees, you buy the cheap things that break quickly, and you miss the opportunities because you are too busy surviving. To break the loop, you need what we call walking away money. This is not $1 million. This is just enough of a buffer, maybe $20,000 or $30,000, to know that you could survive for a year without a paycheck. The confidence that comes from walking away. Money changes how you show up in the world. Your boss can sense it. Your clients can sense it. You no longer negotiate from a place of desperation. You negotiate from a place of strength. And ironically, once you stop needing the money so badly, it tends to come to you much faster. Now, let us address the social pressure. When you start acting like someone who is disciplined with money, the people around you might get uncomfortable. They might call you cheap or make jokes about your new habits. Do not be fooled. Their criticism is not about you. It is about their own financial insecurity. Your growth acts like a mirror to their own stagnation, and most people do not like what they see in that mirror. You will have to develop firm financial boundaries. Saying that something is not in your budget is a complete sentence. You do not owe anyone a 30-minute justification for why you are choosing your future self over a temporary thrill. The journey from $200,000 to $2 million is a journey of removing the friction in your mind. The first million is a grind because you are fighting against your old identity every step of the way. The second million is a breeze because your new identity is doing the heavy lifting for you. By the time you reach that level, you are no longer managing money. You are managing a system that you have built with your own discipline. As we move further into this decade, the rules of retirement are changing. The old dream of stopping work at 65 and living on a pension is dead for most. But a new dream is emerging. It is the dream of autonomy. It is the ability to work on things you love, with people you like, for as long as you choose. This is only possible if you take control of your financial identity right now. Stop looking at the stock market every 10 minutes. The market will go up and it will go down. Instead, look at your own habits. Are you providing evidence for the person you want to be? Or are you still voting for the person who is bad with money? Every time you choose to invest, even if it is just $50, you are rewriting your brain chemistry. You are lowering your cortisol. You are expanding your horizon. Wealth is not about having a fancy car or a massive house to impress people you do not even like. Wealth is about peace of mind. It is the luxury of waking up and knowing that your future is secure because you had the courage to change who you were. It is the ability to leave a legacy for your children without being a burden to them. It is the quiet confidence of knowing that no matter what happens in the economy, you have the skills and the mindset to thrive. The math of compounding is simple, but the psychology of compounding is profound. It requires you to be okay with being boring for a while so that you can be free for the rest of your life. It requires you to value your freedom more than the approval of your neighbors. As we conclude this discussion, I want you to ask yourself one question. Who am I becoming with my next financial decision? Am I the person who spends to feel good for an hour? Or am I the person who saves to be free for a lifetime? The answer to that question will determine the rest of your life. Your identity is the most valuable asset you own. Invest in it wisely. The numbers will follow. But the peace of mind starts the moment you decide to be someone different. Thank you for being here and taking this step toward your own financial revolution. I believe in your ability to rewrite your story. Starting today. Starting right now.